Today on Sagittarian Matters, we're talking Cabbage Patch Kids, babies, Babyland, Georgia, art theft, and more, as we revisit a classic conversation with friend to the show, Bran Taylor, with an update from Don Riddle and Screaming Females. Stay tuned.
Sagittarian Matters, Sagittarian Matters, what's the
Hi, listeners. If you have ever wanted to do a graphic memoir workshop with me, please run, don't walk over to my website, NicoleJGeorges.com, and sign up now for my graphic memoir workshop that begins in April. It's a 5 to 6 week workshop, depending on how much time we want to spend together. And I will be going over the basics of comics, the basics of planning a long-term graphic memoir project. We'll dabble a little bit in fiction. I'll teach you things that you can use for a memoir project or for fiction, your choice. But basically, I'm talking about comics. I'm talking about writing. I'm talking about vulnerability in writing, editing in comics, and so much more. I think these classes are really fun. The limit is 12 people. And you will be connected to a group of cartoonists who, if you so choose, you can stay connected to for the rest of your life. So go to NicoleJGeorges.com and sign up today. And if it's full, if you missed your spot, you can email me from my website and get on my graphic memoir mailing list, where I will send you updates as soon as I post one again. All right, see you there. Bran Taylor is a magical Sagittarius and the witch behind Magic Hour. We originally chatted about Babyland, the Cabbage Patch Kids place in Georgia in 2018. But in late 2022, friend to the show Don Riddle and the band Screaming Females visited on their own accord while they were on tour and recorded an update, which you will find at the end of this episode. Want to know what's going on at Babyland? Want to know what's going on with Mother Cabbage? Stay tuned. In the meantime, you could find Bran Taylor, their candles, and more at MagicHourAstrology.com. Now please enjoy this classic Sagittarian Matters episode featuring my birthday twin Sagittarius talking about Babyland. Here today, it is a beautiful spring day in Portland, Oregon.
Glorious.
Producer Ponyo is here. You have allergies aplenty.
I sure do.
And you're here to tell me about a recent trip you took to the Cabbage Patch birthing facility.
AKA Babyland General Hospital.
Where is Babyland General Hospital?
It's in Cleveland, Georgia, which is basically about an hour and a half to 2 hours north of Atlanta.
All right, what brought you to Babyland?
Well, my dear friend lives in Atlanta and also has a house in Dahlonega, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half north. And I was visiting her like I usually do. And she's got a really cute 4.5-year-old kid who's my little niece. And it was our day to spend the day together, me, the 4.5-year-old niece and I. And I looked up things to do with kids, because there's it's really small town. Like Dahlonega is there's a town square that it's where there used to be a jail and now you can pan for gold. Anyway, there's little things around the tiny town square and that's it, and a Walmart and that's it. So I was looking for things to do with a kid, and I looked up mini golf, putt-putt if you're a Midwesterner. Putt-putt golf. And it was in a town called Helen, which ended up being a, alpine Bavarian village town. Have you heard of such a thing?
No.
Leavenworth, Oregon is like that? Okay, it's where they, transform the town into, ye old-timey Bavarian town with, cute little Hansel and Gretel houses and stuff.
Why would you do that?
It's like a tourist trap.
Okay.
You can get your picture taken a ye old timey Bavarian town. There's fudge factories everywhere.
Oh.
There's lots of old fashioned soda fountains. There's a troll bar, which I was really into. And so it's basically a tourist trap. They just transform the small town into a Bavarian village.
Doesn't that sound like people have so much time on their hands?
Yeah, it's also kind of smart because guess what? It's mostly white folks over there. White folks are just like, they love a Bavarian village. Who knew? They're flocking there, taking pictures. There's all kinds of cutesy things. Hand-blown glass. Lots of stuff that says like, Helen, I got a pretzel in Helen, Georgia, etc. So, anyway, we went to go putt-putt / mini golf in Helen, Georgia. It was beautiful. And on the way home, I took a different route, which is up in like the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
And, come here, Ponch. And in the detour, I saw one sign that went by, and it was like, Babyland, 2 miles on the left. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And the next sign I saw had a Cabbage Patch illustration on it. Like a drawing of like a Cabbage Patch Kid, and said, Babyland General, turn now. And then it said in small print, home of the Cabbage Patch Kids. And I was like, what? And I promptly turned left.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, my little niece, you want to go to Babyland? And she was like, yeah, okay. She was really excited.
Does she know what a Cabbage Patch doll is?
No, but she does like baby dolls. So she's into any baby doll situation. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And then I turn left, and you can't really tell where it is from the road. And there are signs kind of leading up. Then you eventually turn on this other, like sort of wooded, area. And then it kind of just opens up into the world's most giant lawn. Like nothing, no flowers or anything, just like a huge green mowed lawn, right? And then up on top of the hill is like a huge like white plantation house.
What?
It's like, it looks like a fucking mirage, because you're like in the middle of the woods, and it's like a weird like manicured lawn, right? And it has a huge sign in like, like chubby 80s letters, Babyland,
Yeah.
General Hospital. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be nuts. And I was like, I had the feeling of like, maybe we shouldn't go there. Like, what if I get like, what if we're going to get some sort of like...
It's like Get Out or Stepford Wives.
Yes. Well, probably not like Get Out, but it's... Yeah. I was like, oh, we might be like possessed by some weird spirit at Babyland, right? And it was a huge, southern plantation house, which I've never been to. So... it was an experience. Mm-hmm. We drive up, and then once you get closer to the actual house, there's all these white sculptures that are about like the size of like a queen size bed.
Oh.
They're huge. Maybe a full size bed, and they're huge. Like they're huge white cabbages that are open with like a baby head in the middle, and some have pacifiers, some have like tufts of hair, but it's all like this molded like concrete or something, like sculptures, right? And they're littered all around the perimeter. There's rocking chairs out front. Everything looks like, old-timey southern porch sitting plantation-y situation. And there's a huge green lawn.
Okay.
Mind you, it took a long time to find the parking lot, which was kind of around the bend. There is like probably 5 cars in the parking lot. Okay.
It's not a busy day at Babyland.
No, it was also a Monday.
Okay.
Weekends, who knows how many times people are going to Babyland. So I have a little bit of anxiety kind of stirring. I was like, okay, let's do this. It's just an experience. I like an experience. I don't want to necessarily subject my 4.5-year-old niece to something that's like toxic and gross. I might have done that. Let's be honest. But, so we pull in, we walk up. It's hard to find the entrance. We eventually find it. I open the door, and there's a huge, like, sprawling, beautiful, Gone with the Wind kind of staircase, right? Like a white, like, sweeping staircase that's, like, wide and gorgeous in this beautiful old house. And there's a huge, like, giant hospital, like, check-in desk, right? And the woman behind the desk is dressed like, 1940s or 50s nurse. Mm-hmm. With, do you know them, the kind of a triangle, like a Napoleon kind of looking hat, right? And then she's all in white, the full regalia, right? Full costume. Like, it's like cosplay in there.
Yeah.
Every fucking person is dressed like that. Okay? And
I cannot wait to get a job there.
You know, I thought about that. I thought about how I was like, if I could work here like once a month and then just be like in full drag the whole time and just be like, hey, welcome to Babyland. Want to hold my baby? I would just think I would love it. I would love it. Just because you'd be like in the pomp and circumstance of it. So you walk in and the nurse is very friendly at the desk. And she says, hey, y'all, welcome. I'm also going to do some Southern accents. Apologies if I'm going to offend anybody, but
I came from Florida. I don't care.
agreed. So, they say, hey, y'all, welcome to Babyland General. Are you here to see some babies today? Are you here to visit the nursery? And we say, yes, ma'am. Also, I look around. Everybody's white. Every single person in this place is white. Okay. Everybody who works there is a white woman. I didn't see not one man in the whole place. Okay. Everyone shopping there is a white woman with white children. Wow. Okay? This is a white experience. Okay. Not saying it's exclusively like that, but at that day, woo! Okay.
Because the rest of the South, not that way.
Not really that way. I mean, this part of Georgia, honestly, this like, you know, the few towns that I'm talking about around Georgia are pretty white. Yeah. It's pretty much like Trump Republican country. There's lots of Trump signs and stickers and stuff. So there's lots of places in the South that are not like that.
So you're full cover.
Oh, yeah.
You're a stealth witch.
Yeah. Also, mind you, it's hot out, so I'm wearing like a tank top and shorts. And I'm like I'm a tattooed 41-year-old lesbian, so it looks, I might be stand out a little bit. Okay. With a kid who's wearing she wanted to wear half of her pajamas, which I fully support. She's wearing like a really, goofy outfit, which I love, but everybody else who has kids there they're very manicured and, So, anyway, we have to sign in to visit the hospital. Okay. Yeah. So you have to sign in to even go inside Babyland. They want your name. They want where you live. They want your county, which is hilarious. They want your email address. And I was like, ooh. And then she said, so I put in a fake name, obviously. And I do have a fake email address.
What was your fake name?
I don't remember. I think I usually just put B, like, for, like, and then I just usually, like, whatever came to me. I don't, yeah, whatever. Yeah, something. So I think I put that, or, like, I put, like, B Helen or something, because we were in Helen, Georgia, or whatever. So, but I do use gaywitches@gmail.com.
Did you put that in as your
Yeah, because that's kind of my, like, throwaway email address that I put on, like, anything who actually asks for my email, because it does work, but anyway. So that's fun to look at that on the registry. So they asked where we were from. They asked, like, how we heard about them, whatever. Full regalia. So then they said everything's self-guided. You start over here in the museum, and then you go straight through the, like, preemie nursery or whatever. I said, okay. So
that's where all the jaundiced babies are.
Those incubators full of babies. Okay, so now we start in the self-guided tour. The first thing I see is signed pictures from celebrities to Xavier Roberts. Xavier Roberts is like the guy whose name is on the butt of every Cabbage Patch Kid. Yeah. I'll talk about him later, but he's the person we associate with the Cabbage Patch Kids. Right. So there's signed pictures, like, from literally ex-presidents. I saw, like, Jimmy Carter and a bunch of other, like mid-'80s celebs, Tom Selleck, I can't remember everybody, Donald Trump, a bunch of other people, right? Like, to Xavier and the Cabbage Patch, loved, I was like, barf. So they're all, like, their headshots, signed to him and framed. That's the first thing you see is, like, some shrine to, like, his celebrity, right? And then you see in these, like, really elaborate shadow boxes, more of the, like, not the original dolls, but they say that they're the original dolls. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
But original Xavier Roberts.
Yes. The first ones that he made, right?
Yeah.
So you go through and you see, like, all these dolls that are hand-sewn, hand-painted faces. They're, like, a little bit bigger. They're, like, they just have different kind of stitching. They have, like, that really pinched, the tiny little nose. And you go through and they're all set up, like, one's in a little schoolyard. One's carrying a lunchbox. One's having like a nighttime story read to them. It's like all this shadow box stuff, and there's all this information about the very first Cabbage Patches, etc.
Did your niece like this?
No, she didn't. She did not care two shits about the museum because everything's behind glass.
Oh, yeah.
So we found the giant chair that's a giant cabbage, and we sat in it and took some selfies. She liked that part. And then all she wanted to do was see the babies, like to hold a baby. So we went right to the preemie nursery. So entering this like super elaborate, really well decorated nursery where there are multiple cribs full of like, 12 to 20 babies in a crib.
What?
I know.
That's a lot. Is that what it's actually like at the NICU?
I mean, I hope not. Jeez. But the weirdest thing is they have speakers behind the cribs, so you hear wah, wah, ooh, cuckoo. Like you hear all these weird fucking baby noises from behind the cribs, and then the nurse who is in full like all white and pink sort of situation regalia, she's like, hey y'all, welcome to the special preemie nursery. Now all these they call them doll babies. All these doll babies are $200, hand painted, hand stitched. So I was like, oh my fucking God. Number one, they're not, I had no idea. So she said, this is where the premium preemies are.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
We go through. I don't really want to hold any of these doll babies because they, are scary. It's scary in there. I feel uncomfortable. I don't know what's going on. And this woman's watching you the whole time. There's nobody else in there. She's creepy.
Did your niece want to touch them?
No. Not really. She was also a little bit weirded out. Maybe because I was weirded out, but also she just was like, wanted to kind of get to the, like, shop area,
Yeah.
I think. So she wanted to pick out her own baby, and it wasn't going to be a $200 hand-stitch, hand-painted baby.
Yeah.
So we walk through the crying baby dolls.
The couture section?
The couture section where everyone seems like there's some discontent. Also, the woman stands there all day. So she just, like, I just think about her psyche. She's just, like, indoctrinated with, like, this whole mission that she's on, and then, like, listening to those, like, fake baby oh, yeah. Not great. Okay. So we move through that area, which is the most, I would say that is the most curated part. And then you walk into like basically a giant shop, right? It's like, and there's lots of little nooks about like, here's, when they go to school, or here's their like little furry critter friends, right? And then the focal point of the shop is a huge tree. And in the tree, there's like a huge tree. It has drippy like LED lights coming down and like little sort of like baby butterfly fairies kind of hanging from the tree. And then the base of the tree is full of animatronic cabbage leaves with tiny Cabbage Patch dolls popping in and out. Kind of like whack-a-mole, but really slow. So you walk by and they just sort of like, one will lower back in, one will come back up. And then some of them have hands, so they go, ooh, they just kind of go up and down with their hands. Kind of like that emoji that's like this with the hands by the face.
Yeah.
I was like, ah, ah.
I was loving your video of that.
Oh my God. It was wild. I love an animatronic thing. I also grew up going to Showbiz Pizza. Shout out if you know what that is. It's like,
Shout out to the Pizza Time players.
That's right. Way pre Chuck E. Cheese people. But I kind of like a weird animatronic, situation for kids. But this was a bit creepy because it just was their heads popping in and out. Also, the Cabbage Patch Kids just kind of look a little bit weird with those tufts of hair and like, or they're bald or they have like really wild yarn hair and like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So we're shopping around. My niece like picks out some baby stuff she might want, I was like, okay, we're trying to figure it out. And then over the loudspeaker, we've been there for probably like 20 minutes, right? Maybe.
Is anybody else there?
Yes. There's probably there's more employees in scrubs. So some people are in full nurse regalia. Some people are like in scrubs. I think
Splattered with blood?
Yeah, exactly. I think they're like in training or something. But they all are in character, right? And, most of us were just kind of like milling around looking for something to buy, right? And there's probably only 2 other groups of people in there besides us. And we hear over the loudspeaker, Mother Cabbage is in labor. If you want to witness a birth, please go to Mother Cabbage or Mother Cabbage Tree. And I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? And then you can see the tree itself. The tree itself, besides having the animatronic babies, also has a bunch of actual crystals, like full-on quartz cluster crystals, right? Huge ones, all around the base, and they're backlit. So they kind of like light up purple or light up pink or whatever, right? And all the crystals are like lighting up. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a spectacle.
Today's episode is brought to you by Zella Minor House, Jennifer Astion, Steph Choi, Chelsea Johnson, Jamie Rabin, Shoshana Ruth Wachter, and Joey Soloway. If you would like to support Sagittarian Matters, especially and in particular producer Chris Sutton, please send $5 million, that's your business, via PayPal to hornetleg@gmail.com. Or this just in, he's got a Venmo, Hell Books. That's HE double hockey sticks books on Venmo. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to saying your name on the podcast. Producer Ponyo looks forward to it too. Don't be scared, that's just her speaking voice.
So I asked my niece, do you want to go see a birth? Might regret this later. And she said yes. So we go over there and we sit in the bench, and then a nurse comes over, and she goes kind of like back behind the tree and then comes out in the center of the tree. So she's standing basically in the tree, right? And
Like in the leaves, or
no, there's like in front of the trunk, or like part of the trunk.
Okay.
There's like a big tree with like dripping branches, and then there's a huge like cabbage patch thing at the bottom, right? She's kind of like on a platform kind of above us, right? Okay. And then they made the announcement twice. We went over there and sat down. It's only us and one other family with like 3 people, right? And the nurse goes in and she says, "Hey everybody, it seems like Mother Cabbage Tree is in labor. Are you all ready to meet a newborn baby today?" And we're like, ooh, yeah, okay. And I was like, oh no. And I really wanted to record this, like video this, but I felt like we were the only 2 people there. And it was obvious that I don't subscribe to this Babyland bullshit. So I didn't necessarily, I was like, might be a little gauche. So I did not. Even though the whole place is very gauche, so let's be real. So she says, you can tell that Mother Cabbage is in labor because the crystals at her base will start to glow and the fairy dust in her branches will start to drip. And we're like, ooh, ah. And then she says, do you want to see if we're having a boy or a girl today? Oh, you get ready for some binary, my friends.
did she say gender's not? Did you yell about gender?
Gender's, yeah. No, I did not.
You mean assigned at birth?
I know. I did not, but this is next level. No.
You didn't yell gender's a construct?
I did not, but I did I'll tell you what I did do. So, here's what she said. We're going to give Mother Cabbage an ultrasound to see if she's having a girl or a boy. What do y'all want to have today? And it was all women here, and both the little girls said, girl, 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 including my niece. So I was like, oh God, like uncomfortable. And she said, if you want a girl, I want you to cross your fingers and go pink, 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 pink. And if you want a boy, you go blue, 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 blue. And I was like, oh my God, oh no. Psychological damage on my niece.
Your niece was raised by lesbians and surrounded by feminists.
I know.
All gone in one afternoon.
I know. I was like, oh no, this is it. So, anyway, my niece and I, we did cross our fingers and say purple, purple, purple. That's the only thing that we actually did but which we thought was cute.
You disrupted.
We disrupted, but not really loud enough the lady could hear. So, everybody else said pink, pink, pink. They did a weird ultrasound thing, and you could see that it was like, it's like on this really lo-fi monitor. It's like a thing where you sort of, you like push a button and then like an image appears, and like an old kind of like timey sort of game possibly. Yeah. So she basically does a ultrasound, right, on the tree. She tells us that's what she's doing with like a corded ultrasound looking thing, right? Does an ultrasound. It appears this like really goofy, very lo-fi image of a drawing of a Cabbage Patch that has a pink filter on it. And she was like, good news, we're having a girl. And I was like, oh God. Everybody cheered. I was like, oh fuck. So then she said,
It's intersex.
I know, she would not. No, they're not. They are very subscribed to the binary down there. So then she says, we're going to have to prepare Mother Cabbage. Do you want to help me? And all the kids say yes.
Episiotomy. Perineum massage.
She said, now let me see how dilated she is. And she brings out these fucking like giant calipers. Looks like a giant pair of tongs. And she's measuring. And she said,
What's she measuring?
she's making sure that she's got 10 leaves dilated.
Where on the tree was she putting the tongue?
You don't really see, but you don't really see from where you're sitting because she's higher above you.
Yeah.
So she's putting them like what you think is like on one of the little Cabbage Patch things that all the other babies are kind of popping out of, right? And she says, Mother Cabbage is 10 leaves dilated. Good job, everybody. And then we had to all breathe together because she might be a little bit nervous, even though she's done this many times, give birth. So we had to all take a big deep breath in and out, just to make sure we can so she's nice and relaxed.
Brandy, this is a lot like Handmaid's Tale. I just want to tell you this is a lot.
I haven't watched that. I feel like it would just
fuck
me up.
This is essentially what the show is. Anyway.
Okay. And then she said, it's time we're going to give her, I think she said an episiotomy.
No, she did not.
She said something otomy. I thought that was what she said. Or like a leafotomy or some shit. Whatever fucking thing she said. She said something like that. And then we gave her, we had to give her a shot of TLC. And then she had to hook up. Okay, this is next level, people. We had to hook up what she calls Imaginarium. Or like Imagicillin. I can't remember. Imagicillin. And what that is it's a giant, huge baby bottle that hangs upside down that says Imagicillin in like stick-on letters on it, right? And then there's like a catheter tube from the nipple of the baby bottle. And then she says she hooks up the Imagicillin through the tube into Mother Cabbage. And we're like, okay. So they've hooked up 2 tubes to her. Mm-hmm. They've already done this weird like caliper leaf dilation.
Yeah.
And then we have to, she's going to make sure she's like, ooh, I can see the head. I can see the head. She said that. And then she said, listen to this. Then she said, oh, I'm really glad I can see the head. We don't want it to be feet first because that would be a branch delivery.
Hey.
Oh, cool. Making fun of that. We're like challenging thing that actual people have to go through. I was like, poor taste all around. So then she's like, okay, she's ready. I can see the head. And then we have to go. She's like, okay, are you ready? If you want to help Mother Cabbage, all we have to do is go 1, 2, 3, push. And then, my fucking niece and like other little children are going 1, 2, 3, push.
They're helping in a bird.
I was like, oh my God, we have to get the fuck out of here. I mean, it was nuts. So then we push, right? And then the baby's born. Yay. And the baby comes out. The fucking nurse holds it by the doll baby's feet and like kind of smacks its butt a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what bullshit is that? And then puts it in a pink blanket and swaddles it up and then shows everybody, ooh, here's our beautiful newborn baby girl. Isn't she wonderful, everybody? And she's got a big tuft of like, sort of like a little salad of hair on top. And they said like, oh, good thing we fertilized the Cabbage Patch around here. That's why the baby has hair. If we forgot to fertilize, the baby would be bald. Oh, God. And then she says, good job, everybody. We're going to let Mother Cabbage rest until she's ready to deliver again.
Holy cow. What a day for Mother Cabbage.
I was like, how many times does she give birth one day? I think multiple times a day.
Well, so then do they try to sell that baby off?
No, it's not over. Then we have to go directly to the nursery, the newborn baby nursery, which is all behind glass.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Separate nursery from the expensive baby dolls. So we go over to this place, and then, the nurse brings the baby over, right? Puts it, like, on a scale, right? And then does, like, the nurse woman. Let's be real. I'm using the word nurse in quotes. Also, she called herself an LPN, which is a licensed patch nurse.
That's funny. Oh my God. I can't wait for my new job as an LPN.
I know, licensed patch nurse.
I have to get my tattoos lasered off like ASAP.
Great idea. And that's your real true calling, Georges. So,
Nicole George's LPN.
yeah, licensed patch nurse. If they would have had a lapel pin, I probably would have got you one. I know you would have loved
Says
it.
Nicole LPN. I would have worn it
And a
around.
cabbage patch. So we go to the nursery. The nurse is like basically using like that like nose sucker thing on the doll baby.
Yeah.
Like looking in the doll baby's ears, looking in the doll baby's, mouth, hooking up a cord to the doll baby like in an incubator to listen to their heart, which you can see on like another really lo-fi sort of a screen that pops up, and writing stuff down like her birth weight or whatever. Also, they asked the kids what they wanted to name the baby, and my niece said Crystal, and then the other little girl who was there said Elizabeth. So the baby's name is Crystal Elizabeth.
Love it.
And then after there's lots of pomp and circumstance in the nursery of like sucking out stuff from this doll baby, re-swaddling the doll baby, the woman doesn't break character, not once.
Good.
She's extremely serious about like writing stuff, the vitals down,
Yeah.
etc. And I was like, whoa. I mean, the commitment is really there, I'll be honest. So they bring the baby out, and then she's like, to my 4.5-year-old niece, she was like, okay, are you ready to become a mommy?
Now's the time.
Now's the time. And my 4.5-year-old niece was like, okay. And I was like, oh no. And they hand the newborn baby over, and they're like, oh, she really likes you. It looks like you're ready to be a mommy. And I was,
All the feminist training that she's received.
oh my God.
Okay.
So we hand over the baby, etc. And she holds the baby. We get the picture taken with the baby. The whole 9 yards.
Okay.
So at that point, we give that newborn baby back because we don't want to buy a $60 baby either. Let's be honest.
This seems like this is a hard sell. If people go there with their kids that are a little bit less balanced than your niece.
Yes.
And then they're like, now you're like, put it down.
Yeah, totally. Well, if you make it through the $200 crying baby track at the very beginning and don't get anything, the birth thing will probably get lots of kids because they're like,
Yeah.
I just watched this baby baby get born.
I named it.
I named it.
She likes me.
I named it. I said 1, 2, 3, push.
I gave her an episiotomy myself.
I hooked her up with some weird cord called a magicillin.
Thank God she wasn't Branch.
Thank God she wasn't Branch. Thank God for that LPN.
So what'd you guys just like put it on a dumpster or something?
Yeah, exactly. I just put her in the toilet. Just kidding. No, the other little girl was holding the baby for a long time. Maybe she bought that baby. I don't know. We're not engaged in that anymore. I just told my niece that I would buy her a baby, but it had to be on the cheaper side of the babies. So that baby that we saw get born was $60.
Okay.
That's out of my range, let's be honest. I'm not going to spend those $60
Yeah.
at Babyland.
Yeah.
So I already kind of don't want to buy anything
Did
because
you have to pay to get into Babyland?
no, it's free.
Oh, that's nice.
But I just,
So what'd you do? What'd you throw down?
I threw down $20 for a state of the art Cabbage Patch that has a pacifier in his mouth.
Oh, great.
And it has like a little romper on and has like a little tuft of curly dark hair. And she picked it out. My niece picked it out. The baby's name is Harmony Tiana.
Did she name it or it came with that
It
name?
came with that name in the adoption papers.
Oh.
I don't know if everybody knows this, but you adopt these babies.
Yeah.
So it's really about like, are you ready to adopt this baby? You need to be a mommy. Are you ready to take your pledge of adoption?
What's the pledge?
They basically take the little girls into a room, like a glass room. the LPNs do, and they have them basically put their hand over their heart and put their other hand up and take the adoption pledge. So the adoption pledge is when you just adopt any baby. They say, like, you know, I promise I will love and cherish my Cabbage Patch Kid till the end of time. Something like that, right? And they have to take the adoption pledge. They get to sign. Sometimes they get like a little certification or like a signed thing that they did it as well, signed by the nurse, etc. And the nurse writes the doll baby's name on it. So that is a part of it. Is you take the pledge.
Wow.
It's like a purity pledge that you're never going to let down your Cabbage Patch Kid. Okay. Really intense. Very serious. Also, everyone's completely in character that whole time.
Yeah.
And we buy the $20 doll. Has a pacifier. Harmony Tiana goes home with us. And as we're checking out, the nurse, like I said, everybody's in scrubs, full thing. The nurse who's checking us out, who really works like in like the, you know, this is the last go around here. There's no reason for her really to be in character. Okay. Yeah. There was a doll baby that also you push her hand and she kind of dances and sings, and I found it incredibly annoying, and it kept just kind of going off like an emotion sensor. And I said to her, God, aren't you sick of hearing that? And she said, oh no. You know, she plays half the song or the whole song, and I always cross my fingers and hope that she plays the whole song because I like it so much. And I was like, oh my God, get me the fuck out of here. I don't really drink, but I was like, I need like a whiskey shot or something. I was like, this is like, this is horrible.
I cross my fingers because I just like it.
She likes it so much. And I was like, ugh.
Will you tell me what was the song? What did it sound like?
Oh, it would just, was like just really the lo-fi sort of like pop song situation. Like, I love to roller skate. I love to roller skate. It's like the really like very fast and like choppy, choppy, choppy. And I was like, ugh, please make this fucking doll stop. Also, and so we checked out. I also thought to myself, do I really want Babyland on my credit card statement? No, I do not. I paid cash. I was like, I can't. I don't want to pay an interest charge for fucking Babyland. Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you. But then I see out of the corner of my eye, they also gave her a nurse hat that says Cabbage Patch Kids on it. My 4.5-year-old niece.
Wish I could wear that.
I should have brought it home for you. She didn't give two shits about it. She wore it while we were in there, and then just kept falling off, so she didn't really care. But so all the kids are walking around with nurses' hats on too. So instead of a Burger King crown, now it's a Cabbage Patch Kids nurse situation. So, and then out of the corner of my eyes, we're checking out, I see like a rack of postcards. Oh, those were some gems. Those were like, no one had bought a postcard from Babyland since like 1986. So they're literally from that era, and they are just incredible. One has the adoption pledge on it, and one has like a really stern lady looking. They were on my Instagram stories. One has a stern lady looking, being like, do you promise to take care of your baby? And it's like, ah!
Did you save your Instagram stories?
I'll put them back up.
Because could we like have them on the podcast blog?
Oh yeah, they're saved on. Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
So then what? So what happened after Babyland?
Okay.
So you guys got out alive?
We got out alive. My niece was stoked about her baby. She couldn't get it. She loved Harmony Tiana. She goes by Tiana for short, just so you know. Mm-hmm. And we left, and as we leave, or like the parking lot kind of swirls around the plantation zone in the weird lawn, and then we get out, and the last thing you see before you go onto the like wooded road is this is the best one for the blog. It's a huge billboard that says, "Stop by again for another shot of Imagicillin." with a Cabbage Patch Kid, creepy ass Cabbage Patch Kid with her hand up like, more please. And I was like, ah! So I stopped. I literally exclaimed. I was like, oh my God. I took a picture and I was like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. I was just like, oh, no. I need a clearing. I need a shower. Yeah. I need like a salt scrub. I need like a smudge. I was like, I want anything. Anybody help, Yeah. So rolled the windows down. We drove through like the warm summertime Georgia air, just trying to clear that Babyland off. When we got home, or back to the house, I was like, told everybody what happened. And then I just was like, I couldn't stop thinking about Babyland. And I was like, how does that place stay open? What, like, where are they making the babies? I mean, they're made in China, let's be honest, but the hand-painted, hand-sewn ones, maybe it's upstairs in the plantation. There was one woman who was not in nurse outfit who came down the staircase. She might have been, like, the boss or something, but then she probably went back up when she saw people were there. Like, they want to, like, have a, like, the facade is, like, you don't see where they're made, you don't see anything else. And I was like, is this just, like, a giant plantation gift shop? You know, I think it is.
What was that woman wearing?
The, like, normal person, just like a cardigan or something, like a Southern lady twin set.
Okay.
No, you know,
Yeah.
she looked like kind of like a business Ann Taylor kind
Designing
of
women?
Yeah, but less cool.
Okay. So you couldn't stop thinking about Babyland.
I couldn't stop thinking about it. I told the story multiple times about the birth. Oh man, it was nuts. And I went to sleep and I dreamt about Babyland. And I was like, oh man, it's in my psyche. Fuck. And I did all my normal things I like to do to kind of clear those energetic cords from myself. And the next day I flew home to Portland, and I think I was telling my partner Lou about it, and Lou looked up and was like, you need to watch this. And I was like, oh my God, what is it? And it's this Vice documentary. I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but Vice did a documentary about Cabbage Patch Kids. It's worth a watch. It's about 16 or 18 minutes. It's fucking fascinating. So the origination story is this woman, Martha Nelson Thomas. I could be wrong on that. That's what I think her name is. Martha Nelson Thomas was a folk artist and a soft sculptor in the South. And she made what she called doll babies. And they were, like, kind of bigger than what a traditional Cabbage Patch Kid is. And this is, like, the late 70s, early 80s. And she sold them, like, at craft fairs and, like, artisan sort of things all around the South. And, she would make them in people's likenesses for gifts, things like that. She also was, like, really into them being, like, a spirit of a baby, right? And then, so they had a baby spirit. They were supposedly supposed to be, like, as, like, heavy as a baby, right? Like, so you could really see what it's like to hold a newborn or, like, a small child baby, right? And she didn't have any, like, tags, or she didn't sign her work or anything. She just put, she was like, well, a real baby wouldn't have, like, a, copyright Martha Nelson Thomas on it, so why would I do that, right? And, anyway, people loved her doll babies. She also did other types of sculpture. This was one of the things that she made. She loved them. She's, like, a really nice person, right? Enter in the picture Xavier Roberts, who we all know and associate with Cabbage Patch. He comes in the early 80s, and he owns a gift shop in Cleveland, Georgia, small town Georgia, and is buying the doll babies from Martha Nelson Thomas to sell at the gift shop. They are selling so well. He comes back to her and says, can we mass produce these? Because people want these doll babies, right? And she says, no, this is my art. I'm not going to fucking mass produce my art. I'm not a capitalist. I don't want that. I'm not interested, right? He says, well, fuck you then. And then takes her design and then completely knocks her off. Gets a facility to manufacture what literally looks exactly like Martha Nelson Thomas's babies and calls them Cabbage Patch Kids. He also comes up with the story of Imagicillin, the crystal tree giving birth, the entire Cabbage Patch lore, the fairy dust, the whole thing, the whole birthing scenario, etc. That's something that he comes up with, okay? That was not part of Martha Nelson Thomas. He also, pretty soon thereafter, gets really famous because people go nuts for Cabbage Patch. So every kid in the 80s wants a Cabbage Patch Kid, right? Well, not every, but lots of people wanted Cabbage Patch Kids. And he got really famous really fast. There's a great clip on Vice about, he's on, like, Good Morning America or Today Show or something. And they ask him, like, how he started this. And he's on there, like, literally lying. He says, well, I'm an artist and a soft sculptor. And I liked the shape of a baby's face, and I want to make them weighted like a baby. He basically just rips off everything that Martha stands for and says it on the fucking Today Show, and then talks about why he created the Cabbage Patch Kids. So he's also just, like, straight up lying. He just was a gift shop owner and not an artist. I mean, he's obviously a creative person to make up a cabbage tree giving birth, and probably a magical person, but just pretty,
Not an ethical magician.
No, not an ethical magician, and probably just really sick with some capitalism and toxic masculinity, it sounds like. So he gets rich. All of Martha's people are up in arms. Martha, seems like Martha's probably a Libra. Martha's just like, you know what, like, I don't want to waste my time dealing with this guy. She's not opposed to, like, going after him, but she's also not going to, like, put her energy into that. She has actually some pretty good boundaries around it. And she has basically some other friends who get a lawyer, and the lawyer really believes in Martha, and they go after him. But it's years and years and years of legal battle. Okay. During this time, Xavier Roberts is getting richer and richer. He buys a extremely, huge house in Cleveland, Georgia, that there's a great clip on the Vice documentary about, like, how he has, like, a pole into a slide into a swimming pool, and, like, has like 30 rooms, and people are, like, up in arms with what a crazy mansion he has. He's like this, like, I got money and I'm gonna make something wacky with it. So he basically gets rich. Martha gets $0. They are, like, in a legal battle for a very long time. What happens at the end is there is a settlement. The details are not disclosed, right? Oh. And what happens is it's, like, enough to send their children to college, is what Martha's husband says. But Martha, she lives to the end of the settlement, but she has since passed. I think she passed in 2013. Mm-hmm. So basically you spent, like, almost 2 decades, or like a decade and a half, in a legal battle with this person trying to, like, save your art. She's actually pretty disinterested in the whole thing, but people really advocate on her behalf. But it just ended up being a settlement. He never apologized. The one thing she wanted was to have some recognition in the, like, Babyland General and in the story that it was originated from her art. And, like, these are inspired by, or whatever, even though they were fully stolen, inspired by Martha Nelson Thomas's work. And that does exist. I did not see that at Babyland General, just so you know. I wasn't looking for it because I didn't know this story at the time, but I also did not see it. So basically, at one point there was Cabbage Patch Kids also, like, you can buy designer jeans for them. They were going for, like, $37,000. You heard me. $37,000. Like, it just was, like, a totally kind of weird craze and, like, kind of a gross display of capitalism that then this one guy got really rich off of. Martha got nothing. Now she got something. Who knows what it actually is, but she's not alive to even see it. So,
wow.
Yeah, and her widow is on the documentary, and he is really sweet and awesome in his overalls. Just holding it down.
Looking like a Cabbage Patch Kid.
And also at her funeral, at Martha Nelson Thomas's funeral, everyone who had a doll baby that was made by her brought it to the funeral, and they had the whole first pew was full of doll babies.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which is a really cool picture. So basically there's a sordid tale in the Cabbage Patch.
I had 2 Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh, you did?
One
what were their names?
One was Elmer.
Elmer?
Was the main one.
Was he bald?
No, he had curly blonde hair.
Okay.
And the other one was one of those animal hybrids, and I can't remember what his name was.
Friend?
Yeah, I guess. He was, like, part cat, part kid.
We call him Forest Friends now.
Orange with, like, ears and, like, striped body and blue overalls. Both my Cabbage Patch Kids were boys. Really, like really you that.
I, as a child, wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid so bad. I begged my mom for one. We did not have 2 nickels to rub together. I grew up in a real, not that much going on in my household. And I begged my mom so hard, and she was like, we cannot buy that. There's no way I'm buying a $40 or how much ever it was at the time. Yeah. And what she did is she asked my grandma to make me one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You can see where this is going. So my grandma, who's so sweet, she was so great. She was a great seamstress and could make pretty much anything. She made me a Cabbage Patch Kid that then she wrapped up for Christmas. And then it was like from Santa, really. And I was like, it did not look like a Cabbage Patch Kid. I should take a picture of it. She had like yarn hair and like, you know, there was the eyes kind of painted the same. My grandma did a good job with the hand painting, but the body was like really large and like very like just like it was 3-dimensional but like flat. It just was a weird shape. There wasn't like the chubby little hand, it just was like kind of blob hands, right? And then the neck was very tight, like, you know, as like a totally gathered like rubber band neck. So I called her Pinhead.
No.
And I fucking hated that doll. And my grandma actually put her signature on the butt.
Oh no.
I mean,
She
my
must have
grandma
spent so long on that.
She spent so long on it. She thought I would love it. I fucking hated that doll. I tried to throw it away. I thought I'd give him to the dog. I was like a little asshole. Really just hated it.
Little Pinhead.
I cried over Pinhead. I didn't want anything to do with her. I was like, no way. And then, okay, so then later on, my mom figures out, she buys me a knockoff Cabbage Patch, right? Yarn hair, same plastic face, no butt sign.
Okay.
And I was like, not good enough. Oh, no. I was like, where'd you get this? It's a totally knockoff brand. Like, you know, B brand or whatever, like Walmart or whatever brand situation. And I was like, no, the butt's not signed. I don't want that. And I was like, I was spinning that tail in my head too. I was subscribed to the Cabbage Patch. So it took a couple years, but then I did get a preemie. I got a preemie with like a tuft of hair. It's like a little one, like that weird little like carrot top head situation. Yeah. And I don't remember the preemie's name. My preemie was just kind of like, it's like kind of genderless preemie.
Isn't Elmer a weird name?
Elmer's a weird name. I think mine was like Audrey or something. That seems a little bit more familiar. Audrey, Emma, or some shit.
Did you
like
love
that.
baby Audrey?
I did love her. I also just liked that she was like OG and like I was like, oh, this is what I wanted. I wanted like a legit Cabbage Patch. And now looking back, the only one that I still have is Pinhead.
You still have Pinhead?
I still do.
I want to tell you, when I was a kid, my toys were named Bertha, Elmer, and Ramondo.
Yeah, you were like born a grandma. That's why.
Brandy, thank you for telling us your Cabbage Patch tale.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thanks for joining me in Babyland. And I am happy to give you some pictures so you all can experience this with me. And check out that documentary. There's also a part of the documentary where people they have the largest selection of Cabbage Patch Kids, also in Georgia. And it's just basically like a double wide trailer full of Cabbage Patches. It's creepy as fuck.
Dawn Riddle is a multidisciplinary artist from Portland, Oregon. She's a brilliant painter, weaver, photographer, musician, playwright, videographer, and unsolicited vegan food review correspondent. Dawn recently went on tour with the band Screaming Females, and in their travels, they toured Babyland, the Cabbage Patch Kids place that we talked about so long ago in episode 114 with Brand Taylor. They recorded an update for us as they lived to tell the tale, and I am still receiving creepy Babyland postcards from Dawn Riddle to this day. Now please enjoy Dawn Riddle and Screaming Females giving you some updates from Babyland.
Hello, here we are recording a podcast with 3 jerks and me, your host, Dawn Riddle. These guys were like, yeah, let's talk about it on a podcast. Let's talk about going to Babyland, the Cabbage Patch Kid Mecca. And
we
then
did not say yes.
The next day, they said, oh, we don't have anything to say. But then Marissa said, I have one thing to say. So here we are on Sagittarian Matters, the podcast with the band Screaming Females who are gung-ho about this. Ready to, Marissa, to tell you one thing.
Okay, well, first of all, I never said yes or no because I knew that Dawn wouldn't have actually formulated any questions besides, can you confirm that we went to Babyland? And we did. And then we listened to the Sagittarian Matters about Babyland. And all we can do is verify that those things do indeed happen probably every day at Babyland. Except when we went to Babyland, the babies weren't popping in and out of the ground through their Cabbage Patch orifices under the tree of life, and I felt ripped off and angry. And also when we went into the NICU, there were no speakers blasting goo goo gaga sounds, and I also felt ripped off.
Same.
So up until I actually listened to Sagittarian Matters, I was really happy with my Babyland experience. But then after I listened to it, I felt like I hadn't gotten the full experience, and so now I'm really upset.
But we got a good joke.
What was the joke?
They,
Oh, yes.
she said, "Oh, this is very." When she helped birth the baby from the cabbage, she said, "Oh, this is very embarrassing. This baby has ears. The babies didn't used to have ears. I think it's because we planted the corn too close to the cabbage."
That was fun.
All right, you heard it here. This is Sagittarian Matters Music News, Babyland Edition, and wish everyone a safe rest of your evening. And we're back. So these clowns in this van were like, when Dawn interviews us, she doesn't actually ask questions. Boy, did I have questions. Marissa said, I got one thing to say. And I said, I'll just fucking, get it all set up for you. You knock it out of the park or whatever. And she did it. She already told me she had something to say. But I got questions. Mike, what would you name your Cabbage Patch Kid? They have you name it before they pull it out of the dilated cabbage. What would you name it? It has to have a first and a middle name.
I got one.
Okay, Jarrett, what would you name your baby?
Michael Marissa.
Yeah, I would name mine Michael Jarrett.
I would name mine Salvatore Giuseppe.
I would name it Gino Four Sticks. That's a riff on Mike's cousin, Gino the Third, Gino Three Sticks. So that was kind of an inside joke. Really, I'd name mine Pam.
Amanda.
Okay, question number 2. Jarrett, what's your favorite cabbage dish?
I farted.
Ooh. That's topical for cabbage.
Yes.
But Głumpki, which is a Polish dish where you put rice and usually meat inside of a cabbage leaves, and I think then you put tomato sauce over it. But you can do it vegan, which is what we've done. And then Marissa got us a well, this is actually very appropriate as well. A what do they call it? 3D fiber art, whatever that lady was referring to her art as. It's a stuffed animal that's more art than stuffed animal, and we named it Dr. Typo L. Głumpki.
That's so funny because that was the second idea I had for what I would name my Cabbage Patch Kid. Głumpki. Marissa, what's your favorite cabbage dish?
I don't know the names of any cabbage dishes.
Well, how would you prepare it?
Oh, I don't really cook cabbage, but Meg does a lot. Megan Deneen at home makes cabbage.
What does she do?
She makes a salad. It's usually just in the salad. It's really good.
I remember one time Megan made coleslaw.
Yeah.
And a beautiful fact about Deneen cuisine, Megan Deneen's food style, is that it's just about getting the food, a large amount, into the body. And she was like, I made coleslaw. And it was like, I think just cut up cabbage with apple cider vinegar on it. There was no salt. And I was like, I love coleslaw. And then I was like, what is happening to me? Mike, what's your favorite cabbage dish?
I just love roasted cabbage, all kinds of cabbage. Green cabbage, red cabbage, Napa cabbage. There's one that looks like brains. Maybe it's called brain cabbage.
It's called brain cabbage.
Bok choy. Brussels sprouts. That's kind of like
I
cabbage.
think it's the same fam.
Love all of it. Just roast it in the oven. Salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Brassicas.
Brassicas.
If Brussels sprouts are cabbage, then a roasted Brussels sprout is my favorite. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, roasted cabbage is an absolute dream and a treat.
I also we cut up cabbage really, really fine and add not too much, but just the right amount to a soup, so that you kind of cook it with the oil first, and then when you're cooking your other vegetables, and then when you put it in with the hot water, it actually sort of basically dissolves and makes the soup nice and thick.
Yeah, that sounds nice. That sounds really good. Let me think of a third question. Okay. Well, I have a couple of questions, but I don't know if they're good, so I'm going to try to just think about it a little more. This is less of a question so much as a thought experiment. What do Cabbage Patch Kids grow up to be? Mike?
Cabbage Patch adults.
Jared?
They never grow up. We keep them stunted in this juvenile state, much like our pets.
New question. If a Cabbage Patch Kid eats cabbage, is that fucked up?
Yes.
All right, this concludes our interview. Thank you to the band Screaming Females. Thank you to... I don't know if I want to say thank you to Babyland, but I'm glad that we did it. And I'm glad that Sagittarian Matters is covering music news now and covering doll tourism. Okay, everyone keep rocking, keep rolling, and keep eating cabbage.
Sagittarian Matters is produced by Chris Sutton, with assistance by Ponyo Georges. Our theme music is composed by Carolyn Pennypacker Riggs of the band Bouquet. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.